Good morning, Taste Buds. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Did you know that there are two kinds of chocolate? There's the sweet kind that you obviously know, but there is also a savory kind. Join me today because I'm making both here on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Good morning, all. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein coming to you from the Goya Kitchen at Junior Achievement of South Florida and Coconut Creek. Do you love delicious, sweet, creamy chocolate? Well, you're in the right place. But I've got more chocolate than that. Do you know there's a savory chocolate? Well, there is. So I thought it would be fun today to give you recipes for both. So let's get cooking. The first thing we're going to make is chili with chocolate. Chili, like a good bowl of delicious chili filled with spices and deliciousness. Well, we're going to add a little cocoa and bittersweet chocolate right at the end. So right now, all I'm doing is browning my ground beef. And of course, I got my ground beef at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. We always get our proteins from them. But, you know, you can pick up absolutely anything from them. They've got gorgeous roast chickens, fried chicken. They have incredible ducks and other type of birds and meats and fish. They are incredible for school lunches. They have salads, dips. I just picked up some smoked salmon dips the other day. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And a great way to stay in touch is go to DelawareChicken.com and subscribe to their emails. They're filled with all kinds of information. They're over at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood. You can call them at 954-983-6831. Place an order and make sure you tell them Chef Michelle sent you. All right, so this is pretty much browned. There's not a huge amount of fat. There is a little. I think I'm going to borrow just a little bit of fat from some oil. This is just some vegetable oil, but I'm really only adding in, maybe that's about a half a tablespoon at the most. All right, next I'm going to go ahead and cook the veggies. We're going to start with onions, and I'm going to add it right to the beef. I'm also going to add some bell pepper. I love red, but you know, if you have any other colors at home, absolutely you can use it. Green is always the least expensive of the bell pepper, and for some reason a lot of people just do not like green. So whatever you've got, whatever you like, you throw in here. Let that just begin to soften, and as it does, go ahead and add some minced garlic. Let's stir that around. And you know how I know when to add the next ingredient? When it becomes fragrant, right? When I can smell it and I can smell things cooking, it means that I need to jump into the next ingredient. I don't smell the garlic yet though. I'm waiting. So give it a minute and let's allow all those delicious aromas of the garlic to come out. I think it needs another minute. Okay, there it goes. It got to my nose. All right, now we're gonna add all the spices, and there's a lot of them. I just measured them all out here. I've got ground chili spice, I've got cayenne pepper, and I have some chipotle powder. I've got onion and garlic powder. I have paprika, oregano, cumin, and cinnamon. Great. All right, so I'm just gonna add them all to that pot, and let's allow that to really come out, get fragrant. And the more you toast spices in either a hot pan or in oil, the more the flavor will come out. We also want it to really get into that meat, like work its way in there. I'm gonna let that happen for just a minute. Let's come over here. So I've got some diced tomatoes in can, which I'm just gonna throw the whole thing in there, juice and all. That'll be a little bit of our juice that we're working today. I love pink beans for chili, so I'm just gonna add both of these in here. Okay, let's work the tomatoes into the beef. The next thing we're gonna add will be the cocoa powder. And by the way, today, all of the chocolate I'm using is really good quality chocolate. The better the chocolate, the better the origin of the chocolate, the less ingredients that you find in a package of chocolate, the better it's going to be. But everything I'm using today is somewhere between the 70% to 85% range of the amount of cocoa there is in the bar of chocolate. So this one I'm using for the chili today will be a higher concentration of cocoa because it's a finisher for a chili. It doesn't need to have that sweetness in it, but it's a great balance. So I am going to use some cocoa powder, and I really wanted to measure the amount of cocoa that I'm using to make sure that I'm giving you a perfect recipe. All right, so right now I'm gonna add 1, and I think I need another one. All right, so that's 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. This is already looking so dark and rich because of the cocoa powder and because of those lovely spices that we added. This is just gonna be a delicious chili. So I know you have to go for a quick commercial break, but let's throw a couple things in before you do. I have a dark beer. Don't add too much because it does have a little bitterness to it, but don't worry, we're gonna balance it out with the chocolate. So I'm adding a little bit of dark beer in here. I'm adding a little bit of chicken stock or broth is fine, not too much. And then when you come back, I have a little something kind of interesting. I have almond butter, which is really wonderful, and obviously it has a little sweetness, which is gonna balance. And then of course, like I told you, we're gonna add a little bit of sweet chocolate. So when you come back, we will finish this chili, move on to other really interesting and delicious recipes. And as you know, all my recipes, including today's chocolate recipes, are available on the SoFlows webpage. Now, you just scan this quick response code for immediate access to the fabulous SoFlo Shows page. You'll also see this QRC on the ingredients list throughout the show. So come right back for more chocolate.
There's still more from the Goya Kitchen at J.A. World and Michelle.
SoFlo Home Project is next, right here on Local 10.
Thanks, Elena. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. Wonder who made chocolate? Who was the first? Everybody? No, not even close. It was the Olmec, one of the earliest civilizations in Latin America. They were the first to turn the cacao plant into chocolate. So there you have it. Now back to my chocolate. All right, so we have the chili working. I'm gonna really just let that go nice and slow for a while throughout the show. But the next thing I wanted to teach you, I had this crazy idea. I love interesting vinaigrettes to go with some of my favorite things like beets and tomatoes. So why not turn chocolate into a vinaigrette? We're gonna take some really nice balsamic. Now this is a less aged, young balsamic vinegar. We're gonna add a little bit of turbinado sugar. If you wonder what turbinado is, it's sugar in the raw. I love this stuff to go over a lot of like quick banana breads and things like that. I just put a little turbinado sugar over the top of it as it bakes. It comes out really crispy. And it's a really good sugar. We usually use that for our coffee and teas at home. Next, we're gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract. Something smoky and hot. I figured Aleppo would be perfect rather than just the crushed chili flake, mainly because that's more spicy than it is a little smoky like this one. Let's go ahead and very delicately warm that up. So as that warms up, we're gonna finish with the chocolate. We're gonna add a pinch of salt, and I'm gonna throw in just a couple of little pieces of rosemary leaf for that reduction. Let's jump into beets. I love beets, and beets go with everything. They even go with chocolate. So the sweetness of the beet will bring out the sweetness of the chocolate. The best way to cook a beet, now I've cooked all these in this aluminum foil, or you can do one by one. Let me show you how this works. You just throw a whole beet, skin and all, into some aluminum foil. I drizzle it with the tiniest bit of oil, and I love putting a little bit of salt because it does actually absorb. Then you take some gloves if you want to, unless you want your hands to be really red and ruin your manicure like I always do. So obviously if you had a dark towel, that would really be best because I'm about to ruin this white one. Or you can always turn all of your white towels into pink ones. You basically just take the beet after it's roasted and you rub somewhat gently, I guess, with the towel, and then all the peel starts coming off like so. It's pretty easy. Now, if your beets are not fully roasted, this will not happen. I love roasting my beets at a very high temperature, at about 400 to 425 degrees. To me, is perfect. Let's take a look at our vinegar. It's nice and hot. I'm gonna shut it off, and I'm gonna add a little bit of chocolate at first, because we don't want it to seize, right? We don't want it to become too thick. Let me grab a spoon. Yeah, it's melting into it. Okay, as it melts, let's go ahead and cut our beet. I love to serve these just a little bit warm as they are, but obviously you can also make them nice and cold. Now, I'm not going to put it on my cutting board, mainly because it's also going to turn the cutting board pink or red. So let's just take a paring knife and slice it onto the foil in which we cooked it. All right, let's go ahead and slice some tomato. I have these beautiful tomatoes. Let's choose the funkiest shaped one. And I'm just going to cut this tomato into nice big slices as well. I guess you can say we're kind of making a version of a caprese salad, however, with a little bit of chocolate. So instead of mozzarella, I've decided to give you ricotta. I love ricotta and tomato salads. I think it's just delicious. And with the addition of the chocolate balsamic, I find it to be quite the crowd pleaser. So let's get a little spoon and place some ricotta down on the plate, nice and flat. And then let's just top the ricotta, give it a little flavor, because ricotta doesn't have much flavor. It's a great vehicle to put other things on to give it a little creaminess and fat. So I'm just going to add a little bit of really good extra virgin olive oil and some of this nifty, big, crunchy salt. A touch of black pepper. Now we can start layering our flavor. We've got these beautiful sliced tomatoes. Let's put them all around the ricotta. And then we'll add our beets in and around, like so. You always have to use every single part of it. Beets are so delicious. Then we're going to take a bit of this crazy, delicious, so it's really interesting smelling. I mean, obviously you have the balsamic, right? But you also have the rich smelling cocoa, you know, in the chocolate. And of course, a little bit of rosemary and vanilla. So let's just do a quick drizzle of that around. Then some more oil over the top. I've got some pepitas that I got at the store. They are salted pepitas, which is pumpkin seeds. Toasted, salty, delicious. And then, of course, some big salt again over the top. And where would I be with a little bit of cocoa powder? I love cocoa powder, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to just give us a splash around the plate. All right, so a little bit of rosemary, and there we have it. Roast beets and tomato caprese with ricotta and chocolate vinaigrette. SoFlo Taste will return right after this. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. As usual, I'm coming to you from Junior Achievement of South Florida. It's a great educational venue and resource for our kids. For more information and information about summer internships, visit jasouthflorida.org or call them at 954-979-7100. And thank you to all our friends here. Now back to something good. Okay, everybody, it is fun time. We've got chili. It's all cooked down. Our broth and our beer have now become gorgeous, thick gravy. So we are going to add, I promised, almond paste, which is just like peanut butter. It's almond butter, really. And then, of course, the bittersweet chocolate that I told you about. So let's go ahead and mix that in until it becomes completely homogeneous and emulsified into the chili. I don't want to see any streaks of either one. I think this is pretty much there. All right, let's go ahead and serve it. I've got a ladle, I've got a bowl, and I've got my favorite toppings. We have a little sour cream and some fresh avocado. I know most of you eat chili with grated cheese. I'm sure this would probably go beautifully well. However, I really wanted to keep the flavor a little bit clean so that you could taste that cocoa and the dark chocolate and all those beautiful spices that we added in. So let's just do a little sour cream topping, some little diced avocado around it, Yeah. And there you have it. And of course, serve it with your favorite tortilla chips. All right, so let's move on. I happen to be a big fan of Nigella Lawson, and she makes this chocolate mousse cake, and it's really beautiful. So let's go ahead and jump into her recipe. Over here in this bowl, the bowl is set over a bain-marie, which is basically just a pot with water. Don't allow that water to boil excessively because that will cook and curdle this chocolate. So we basically just want a nice simmer going. So the butter and the chocolate are now starting to melt. We're going to kind of walk away from that and jump right into our eggs. So these are egg yolks and these are the whites. I got a little head start there, by the way. I'm going to add part of the sugar into the yolk and start whisking them. We're looking for the color to lighten and for them to get a little frothy. Once that happens, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of brandy. Okay, once that's really come together, we're going to go ahead and take off the beaters, and I'm going to wash them real quick so I can come back and beat the egg white. Okay, once you have clean beaters, go ahead and put them back in. And now we are going to whip the egg whites, which I told you I got a little jump start on. We're going to get them a little more stiff, and then we're going to add a touch of sugar, which makes them even more so. So, as you can see, they're becoming more stiff. They can pretty much almost hold their own. So this is when I add some sugar to it and make them more stiff. I went ahead and pulled my bowl that has the chocolate and the butter, and I'm just going to let this come a little more to room temperature, making sure, yes, everything is now almost completely melted. All right, let's keep whipping. You see how we now have stiff peaks, and this is beautifully set? That's how you know they're ready. So what we're going to do is come over here and fold in the chocolate and butter into our egg yolks. Make sure you get every last bit of chocolate. And this is really simple, and it's obviously flourless. What a great cake to make for those of us that love a little something sweet without any type of flour. So mix that up really well, and then eventually you're going to start folding in egg white. To fold, I would go down and up and down and up. That is actually folding the bottom over the top. You see how I'm doing that? And it kind of works its way across. So the chocolate is coming up and folding into the egg white. We're trying not to like burst through all these egg whites and flatten them. We want to keep that lightness, like so. Let's go ahead and add the rest. So I'm going to keep folding, but just so you know, once you do, you'll get everything in there. Everything will become sort of emulsified looking. It'll all look chocolatey. You're going to want to cook it in a bain-marie. To do so, your pan, which is obviously a collapsible bottom pan, you need to put some aluminum foil all the way around it so that when you set it in a little bit of water, you don't need much, but when you set it in water, none of the water obviously gets into the pan. So you have to be really careful when you do so. When you come right back, I will unmold this beautiful mousse cake and serve it to y'all, and let's taste it together. So hurry up. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste, and our show all about chocolate and how we can use it in salty and sweet ways. So this is our chocolate mousse cake. Actually, sorry, Nigella's chocolate mousse cake. Let's put a little bit of fresh cream over the top and a little cocoa powder. Delish. Ah, looks so good. I sure hope I gave you some great chocolate recipes, both sweet and savory. Please give them a try because they are good. Next week, do you get invites to potluck dinners but don't know what to bring? Well, next week I've got your answer in a pot. I'll be making great potluck pots, so join me for the answers to put your potluck puzzle behind you on the next SoFlo Taste. Now let's say good morning to Elena Capra, host of SoFlo Home Project. Good morning, Elena. What's next on SoFlo Home Project?
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So today we are touring through a beautiful and relaxing seaside retreat. Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we gain design inspiration from a beautifully remodeled home that was turned into an elegant coastal seaside getaway.
Oh, okay, my dear. We'll be watching as the SoFlo Hour continues. So Taste Buds, thanks for watching, and please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you here next week. Goodbye, mwah, and very good taste.